This video will discuss deer in Minnesota, in particular how deer use forests. You'll learn about the history of deer in Minnesota, their diet, the benefits of a healthy deer population, and also the downsides of high deer populations. Before European settlement, white-tailed deer ranged throughout central and southern Minnesota. In northern Minnesota at this time, moose and caribou were abundant and deer were rare. After European settlement toward the late 1800s, forests were harvested for lumber and agricultural lands expanded. Because quality deer habitat was not available, deer populations declined drastically. By 1920, deer populations in northern Minnesota began to rebound as young forests were regrowing, but deer were largely absent in their former range of central and southern Minnesota. Today, deer are found throughout Minnesota and survive in many different types of landscapes. Deer are an adaptable species and not only can be found in dense forests, but also in agricultural areas, in brushlands, and on the edges of forests and woodlands. In this map from 2011, the areas with darker blue colors indicate regions with greater densities of deer, typically measured by the number of deer per square mile. Deer are important to the conservation legacy of Minnesota. Deer hunters contribute $500 million to the state's economy. Hunting revenues gained by license sales are used to support conservation efforts. There are 500,000 deer hunters in the state, which makes about 1 in every 10 Minnesotans. A deer's home range will change throughout the seasons. Does have a home range up to about 900 acres, and bucks up to about 1,300 acres. Deer populations will thrive where there's a mixture of vegetation for food. Because of this, deer populations are highest in forests and in landscapes that are mixed with farmlands and forests. In the winter, deer will often migrate to areas with more canopy cover. These deer wintering areas, or deer yards, will often have dense cover with conifer trees. Deer may travel up to 12 miles to find this winter cover. Deer eat a variety of crops, grasses, vegetation, and mast, like acorns for oak trees, in order to survive. A healthy deer will have a diverse diet with a variety of different foods. Every day, deer require an estimated 6 to 8% of their body weight in green foliage and browse to stay healthy. For a 150-pound deer, that's up to 12 pounds of food every day. This photo provided by the Mississippi State University Deer Lab shows exactly what 12 pounds of food looks like. Unfortunately, too much browse from deer can limit the growth of seedlings and eventually kill them. This is evident in the photo of the 2 white pines. On the right is a seedling whose buds were browsed by a deer. On the left is a photo of a white pine that was bud-capped, an inexpensive method commonly used to protect pine trees from deer browse. The white pine on the left has a much better chance of eventually reaching the canopy than the pine on the right. In addition to impacts on vegetation, there are a number of other impacts of deer. The transmission of tick-borne diseases like Lyme disease and damage to landscaping and natural areas are a few results of deer residing in our communities. Several methods have been successful in carrying out community-based deer management. This includes conducting controlled archery hunts in towns and cities, establishing citizen deer task forces, and engaging in community outreach campaigns. As an example, here is a handout from St. Louis Park, Minnesota. St. Louis Park used this to inform its residents about the impacts of deer. Deer vehicle collisions are a big public safety concern to Minnesota residents. While it's difficult to obtain accurate numbers on this, State Farm Insurance estimates that almost 40,000 deer vehicle collisions occur in Minnesota every year. As you can see, this represents a large portion of all of the deer that are harvested every year through hunting. Within the state's deer herd, problems with deer diseases such as chronic wasting disease, or CWD, are plentiful. If the aim is to have healthy vegetation along with healthy deer populations, we do not want to see the detrimental effects of diseases like CWD on deer populations. In 2018, the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources released its 10-year deer management plan. While the plan highlights a number of priorities, one of the major goals outlined relates to healthy deer habitat. Since habitat is a function of the vegetation present, we'll move on to learning how to identify deer browse and what indicators you can use to assess the impacts of deer on vegetation.